Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Stay Tuned Sports Extra. It is your boy King, along with your good friend Jimbo, here for week 3 of the NFL season. Week 3 already. Before you know it, it's going to be week 18, and we're all going to be sad again. But here we are.
You will be. I won't be.
What? Well, listen, the way your Eagles are playing, I don't know.
A win's a win.
I guess. Listen, you're the one. You're the one that's always like, oh, you picked against them last week, so I don't want to. I'm just saying.
Reverse psychology.
Oh, that's what a deep thinker you. Because all the Eagles pay attention to the Stay Tuned Sports picks, so they know. They know. They know. Jimbo, you're the record keeper. You're the man who knows. What was our record last week?
So last week, I actually have it here in front of us. Last week, for the week, I went 8-6-2. You went 6-8-2. Which
damn!
I was like, sweet, I made some serious ground on King. You're only a game up on me. I thought I overtook you and everything. So on the season, I am 15-15-2, and you are 16-14-2.
All right, so we had a couple pushes. I came back down to earth a little bit. I don't like that. I don't like last week was not a great week for me. Good week for you, though. If you paid attention to Jimbo's picks, maybe made a little scratch. Again, maybe don't bet money on what we say.
Yeah,
entertainment purposes only.
Especially
I don't know why I still say that when betting is legal in all these states,
Especially taking
New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York. It's legal almost everywhere.
Yeah.
And if it's not, you're out of luck. Sorry.
I did learn last week with betting, do not take a 5-leg parlay, I guess you call it, with the Raiders.
Right.
Only one of them hit for me. Devontae Adams.
Yes, I remember you sending it to me. You're like, how does this look? I was like, I don't know. Well, here's the other thing, too. You looked at me and you said, what's a three-way bet? First of all, what's a three-way is never a way to start a question. But you were like, what's a three-way bet? I don't understand it. It's like, no, that's when you have the options of you can either do, you pick the one team, the other team, or push. And if if the first quarter three-way bet is, you could actually bet on it being tied after the first quarter. You don't have to pick a team to have won it. So,
yeah.
But you're like, oh, okay. And I was like, Jimbo, if you have to ask me what the bet is, don't bet on it. That's how I usually make my money. That's how I'm usually doing pretty good. But
yeah, but I had a bad week on the other betting site since we're using FanDuel here.
Well, we're not sponsored by anybody, so you can say them. What is it, DraftKings?
Yeah, DraftKings.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I only got 8 cents on FanDuel.
Yeah, no, that's I had the solid bet, and then I ruined it by trying to make it a parlay. And that was the solid bet is always pick the Daniel Jones rushing over, always, because that's usually gonna hit. It's rarely not gonna hit, but that's usually gonna end up hitting for you. But trying to mix it with a parlay, and the other part of the parlay didn't hit. Daniel Jones hit, but not the parlay. So, womp. Didn't work out. See, gambling's not fun, kids. Don't do it. Anyway, speaking of the Daniel Jones and the New York Giants, they are playing tonight. We made our picks on the podcast. If you listened to it already, you know that Jimbo picked San Francisco, giving the 10.5. I picked the Giants with getting the 10.5. Simply, I'm not saying the Giants are going to win. I didn't say money line. I didn't say outright. I just said they won't get blown out. Please, God, don't let us get blown out.
Just like your Giants gif. Please,
yes,
God.
Giants, help us, God. That's what we're going to need right now from Little Giants. And if you're too young to know what that movie is, you're too young to be watching this. Actually, no, I don't care how young you are. Watch the show. We need the numbers. Let's go.
Yes.
Anyway, all that being said, the next game that we have on the docket, that is going to be the Tennessee Titans. They are making a trip up to Lake Erie to play the Cleveland Browns. This line is currently with the Browns favored by 3.5 at home. Jimbo, who you got and why?
I'm going to go with Tennessee. I don't know how much this is going to affect the Browns, but the head coach came out and said Ford is going to be the lead back for the Browns and not Kareem Hunt, which I thought yesterday it was reported that Kareem Hunt was going to be the lead back.
But he just got in. He just got in, so maybe they're going to give it a week or so.
Yeah. And I think that Nick Chubb injury is still going to linger, like mentally in a way. Like it's going to hurt a little bit. So I'm going Tennessee.
All right. That's not. It's not a bad pick. The reasoning seems a little convoluted to me, but hey, listen, however you get there, you get there. I can't believe in Tennessee yet. And I like Cleveland too. Maybe they lost a little bit because of the Chubb injury. Maybe that did work on them during that Pittsburgh game. I don't know. Again, it seems like that had to do more with Pittsburgh's defense than anything. Again, Deshaun Watson hasn't played his best. Maybe this will be a bit of a get-right game for them. I can't believe in Tennessee yet, but let's see what happens here, because am I going to still believe in Cleveland after this game? I don't know. They're at home. It seems to be maybe yes, everything that's happened with Nick Chubb, but maybe this is a way to kind of erase some of that, clear that image from everybody's mind, please, God.
Yes.
And get a fresh start there. I mean, if there's a game for Deshaun Watson to break out and kind of help everybody forget, the what happened on Monday night, it would be this kind of game. I still love Cleveland's defense, and Ryan Tannehill has not been the Ryan Tannehill of the last 2-3 years. He just hasn't been. That being said, I am going to go with Cleveland Browns, giving the 3.5 there at, what is it, First Energy Stadium? Is that what they call it?
The Browns Stadium.
I always knew it was Cleveland Browns Stadium for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then I think it went First Energy Stadium. It might be something. I have no idea. Either way, in Cleveland, the mistake by the lake, as it is affectionately known. The next game on the docket is one that me and you also did on the podcast. That was the Los Angeles Chargers and the Minnesota Vikings. You picked Minnesota in that game.
Yes.
Minnesota is 1.5 point favorites. I picked the Chargers, who are getting 1.5 points. So we've already covered that. Moving on. Oh boy. New York Jets at home to the New England Patriots. Jets favored by 2.5. As most people know, home team gets 3 points kind of automatically. I don't know if that's an official rule or not. People yell, that's not how it's done. I don't think it's ever really been that way. That's the way I always grew up learning it. So
yeah,
I always understood it that the home team gets the 3 points automatically. So that being said, they've already knocked it down. A lot of money's on the Patriots. Jimbo, Jets, 2.5 point home dogs. Who you got?
Like the past 2 weeks, I've been really pushing this whole Jets, still going to be able to go to playoffs. Zach Wilson's not as bad as he is, but Patriots nearly beat the Eagles. If it wasn't, like we said, for that rookie dragging the toe, I believe they played well last week as well, the Patriots.
I think they played very well against Miami. Very well.
So I'm actually going to go with New England, giving the 2.5 points. I think this game is going to tell if the Jets are going to stick with Zach Wilson the rest of the year, or are they going to just have to do something. So I'm going with the Patriots.
And I think I made a mistake at the beginning of that, because I thought I saw that the Jets were 2.5 point favorites. No, they're 2.5 point home dogs. So that whole 3 points at home, not only do they not have that, they're also down 2.5 points. Right? There is money on New England in this game. I think I mentioned this on the podcast before. The Jets have to win this game.
Yes.
They have to. Or there's going to be a riot within the organization, with the fans, or just you cannot lose another game. They have lost 14 straight to the New England Patriots. They have not beat them since I think 2015 or 2016. They have to win this game.
Yeah.
They're not going to. New England's going to win this game. They're going to cover that 2.5. And boy, the noise around Zach Wilson is going to be loud. You cannot waste this season if you're the Jets.
Yeah.
And now Aaron Rodgers is hurt. He is not coming back. Maybe in the playoffs if he smokes enough weed and, drinks enough ayahuasca. I don't know. It depends on how dark he wants to get. But they can't waste this season. And who do you go out and get? That's a whole conversation we've had on the podcast. We'll probably have it on future podcasts as well, so we won't bore you here with it. But Jets have to win this game. They're not going to. Zach Wilson is in trouble. Patriots, giving the 2.5. Both me and you agree on that. Next game is the Houston Texans making a trip down to the big swimming pool there in Jacksonville, taking on the Jaguars. They are 8.5-point dogs there. Houston is there at Jacksonville. Jacksonville giving the 8.5 points. Jimbo, who you got and why?
Funny part was I started writing Jacksonville down, not even looking at the point spread, and I saw that. I'm like, oh boy.
That's a big one. That's a big spread.
Yeah. And I don't think Houston is that bad. That Jacksonville blow them out by 10 plus points. So I may have actually just talked myself into the pick. So I'm gonna go with Houston. Kind of like what you say. I'm not saying they're gonna win, but I think they. But you think
they'll cover?
Yeah.
You think they cover it?
I think they cover.
Jacksonville, I think at this point is too good. Houston, for the flashes that they've shown them against the Indianapolis Colts, who are also a rebuilding team and who also lost Anthony Richardson halfway through their game against them. And then Gardner Minshew came in and played very well. And Trevor Lawrence, as of right now, I think we can both agree is better than Gardner Minshew and Anthony Richardson as of now. Anthony Richardson might be a great quarterback in the future. But right now, he's got injured twice in 2 games, so pump the brakes. That being said, I think Jacksonville wins this game, and I think they win it going away. It's a hefty point spread, but I am gonna take the Jaguars, given that 8.5. I think they will cover that, so I'm gonna take the Jaguars.
Okay.
All right. That seems pretty. And speaking of, I almost skipped a game, but it's one that we covered on the podcast, so we can kind of skip it. It is the Bills and the Washington football team of Redskin Commanders. We both ended up picking the Commanders on this one. I believe the Commanders are at home. They are 6.5-point dogs. I like what the Bills did last week, but I think we discussed a little bit on the show. I do believe that Washington can either keep it close, and I think you said that may not win, but they'll cover. I think I said on the show that I actually believe Washington has a chance to win this game, believe it or not. So, but that is where we both are on that. We both picked Washington getting the 6.5. Moving on. Now we go to the aforementioned Anthony Richardson, who still has not practiced as of this recording. So take that as you will. Maybe Minshew will be starting this week. They travel to the Big Bank, M&T Bank Stadium there in Baltimore. And the Ravens are favored by 8.5. Same as the last game we kind of covered. Jimbo, Colts, Ravens. Ravens favored 8.5. Who you got and why?
Here's the funny part. I'd be more confident in placing my pick today if I knew if Gardner Minshew was starting or not. I before I do my pick, if Gardner Minshew is starting, they may lose, but they'll cover the spread. If Anthony Richardson starts, I don't know if they could cover the spread. I think right now Minshew is the better option.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
But I'll go Baltimore. I'll go Baltimore with the minus 8.5. I just think they're gonna put all the points up, and Indy may still struggle a little bit.
here's the thing with that. I honestly think Anthony Richardson gives them a little bit more of a dynamic look from the quarterback spot. I think he's played very well. I think he has a problem already that we've seen with, keeping healthy, and the fact that he was in concussion protocol from the game last week. I have a feeling he's not going to play this game just for safety's sake. They're probably going to sit his ass for the week and go with Minshew, which means that Minshew's been getting first-team practices and first-team reps, which means I think Minshew probably is going to start this game. That being said, Baltimore's, again, it's hard to buy into Baltimore. And I know I say this all the time, and I'm always going to get cooked for it, whatever the case is, but I don't know what it is about them. I've never been able to buy into Baltimore and what they're doing and who they are, and if they are this team that everybody says that they should be or that could be. But 8.5 is a lot of points, even against the Colts. Even against the Colts, that's a lot of points. But it is on the road, so I will give it. I'll go with the Ravens. I talked myself into it. I'll go with the Ravens. Not confident, not 1,000% confident about this pick.
But I'm the same way. I'm like 75% confident in my pick.
I'm less than that. It's more of not being confident at all in the Colts, and like they're on the road, they're in Baltimore. Baltimore is, their defense is still pretty decent. Is it the best? No, but it's all right. Odell's got a little bit of a hiccup, they said. He's got a little bit of an injury. He says he's okay. They don't have J.K. Dobbins for the season now because he tore his Achilles. So there's still a lot going on in Baltimore, but it's more that the fact that the Colts are in a full rebuild that I kind of have to go with Baltimore here and the points of giving the 8.5. Next game is going to be a tight one, and it seems like the money's pretty even on this one. The Atlanta Falcons make a trip up to Detroit to face the Lions. It's a straight 3-point spread. Detroit favored by 3 points at home. Jimbo, who you got in line?
I'm going to go Detroit, kind of for the same reason you have against Baltimore. I just don't think the Falcons are as good as the record shows so far. They're 2-0. I'm going to probably butcher his first name, but they're running back, Robinson.
Bijan. It's not
Bijan?
that. It's Bijan.
I thought
Think of Dijon Mustard. Instead of Dijon, it's Bijan. Bijan Robinson.
And I can't pronounce Saquon or...
You can't pronounce, apparently,
either. But, I mean, he's obviously the front runner for the Offensive Rookie of the Year. But that's it for that.
Pump the brakes.
You see some of those moves he does? It's like watching him on Madden.
Listen, he's good. Yeah. He is good. Don't get me wrong.
But that's the reason why I'm going with Detroit. I think Detroit is the team that we thought they were last year. I don't think we're going to see something different going on the rest of the year. So I'm going with Detroit.
See, I tend to agree. I think Detroit, the game against Seattle last week was probably an aberration as far as I think maybe they were a little too hyped. They had beaten Kansas City. They might have been feeling themselves maybe a little bit too much. They had gotten an extra like a super long layoff there from the start of the season to this game. Maybe that had something to do with it. And, now they did lose CJGJ. Yeah. He's gone, and he might be gone for a while, unfortunately. And that's a huge loss there for that Detroit defense. And I do like Atlanta. I do like their offense. I do like what they have going on. And I think they're one of the contenders clearly there for the AFC South. But if you're Detroit, after going up, you win that first game of the season against Kansas City, you lose your next two to Seattle and then to Atlanta. all of a sudden you go from being this darling that everybody's like, oh, maybe this is Detroit's year, maybe they do something, to then same old Lions,
Yeah.
typical Lions, get your hopes up, crush them, terrible. So I'm with you. I think you got to go with the Lions on this one. I think they'll be absolutely ready for this game. Dan Campbell will not have it any other way, and I think the 3 points is probably going to be good enough there for you to cover. So Detroit, giving a 3 against Atlanta at home. We both agree with that. Next, we have another NFC South team. That would be the New Orleans Saints. They're making the trip up to Green Bay. Green Bay actually favored by 1.5, so not a lot, clearly, against the Saints team that looks good. Like they're one of those teams from the NFC. Everybody thought the NFC South was going to be absolute hot ass this year, and so far it's been kind of a surprise, especially Tampa Bay. We'll get to them in a little bit, but the NFC South looks like it could be a very fun division this year. New Orleans looking good, so New Orleans making a trip to Green Bay. Green Bay again, like I said, favored by 1.5. Jimbo, who you got? One.
I'm gonna go with New Orleans. I know Green Bay got Aaron Jones. Is it their starting running back? I think he is back to practice now. He was banged up last week. And it's kind of funny too with that division. A lot of us thought that division was going to be the shittiest out of the whole league, and here they have 3 undefeated teams coming out of there. I think that offense for New Orleans is more potent than Green Bay's. So I think New Orleans is maybe even win by 7. Might be a little bit, maybe it might be a little bit bigger than the 1.5 that they're getting.
Look at Jimbo saying, look at the alternate spreads. Maybe you can make yourself a little extra money on the sports books. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but I'm going to pick New Orleans as well. I like Green Bay. I like Jordan Love a lot more than I thought I would. He looks good. The Packers, I think, are going to be better this year than a lot of people thought they were going to be. Listen, they might even make the playoffs. I'm not going to predict that. I'm saying might. There's a big might there. But
it's a good possibility Detroit loses.
I do like that. Well, I mean, because Minnesota is not impressive, obviously, either. They're 0-2. And the Bears are the Bears. So, don't
bad boys, bad boys.
You listen to the podcast. Listen to the podcast. Because nobody knows what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So,
still nothing out there.
I'm going to go with New Orleans as well, though, up there. I think Green Bay is good. Maybe not quite ready. But listen, if they win this game, and they can, clearly they can, then I think things get a little bit more interesting in the North, especially depending on what Detroit does. Because then you're talking about if Detroit doesn't win against Atlanta, now you're talking about the Packers actually would be in first place in the NFC North.
Yeah.
Crazy. So, but I will go New Orleans for this game. New Orleans getting the 1 in the hook. Next game up, we have the Denver Broncos making a trip down to sweet, sunny Miami. Welcome to Miami.
Don't ever do that again, please.
Little Will Smith there. Welcome to Miami. Miami, Mr. Worldwide. Pitbull, come on, Jimbo, get with it. Get with the times. And by the times, I mean like 12 years ago. Come on.
Because I was going to say, I know Cisco.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, that's like 23 years ago. But still, Jimbo's pop culture references died with the millennium. It just...
Yeah.
But Denver is making the trip down to Miami. Miami is favored by 6.5. Jimbo, who you got? One?
I'm going with Miami, just because that offense. Russell Wilson kind of getting called out by Sean Payton in Sean Payton's press conference, so it might be a little bit of a rift there starting to brew. But yeah, definitely And it's funny too because the over under is only 47.5, and Miami alone probably put 30 up there. So I'm going Miami at minus 6.5.
This one might be one of the easiest picks of the week. Miami. I will have them picking, giving a 6.5 all day. They'll win by a touchdown, probably more. That's just how I feel about it. Miami is, to me, what they've shown in these first couple weeks is that team that will hang with anybody, that can hang with maybe some of the best. And with a team like Denver, who's not quite the best right now, seem to have a lot of issues there, especially with Russell Wilson, who, on a side note, seems to be playing himself out of the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I will take Miami all day. It's a quick and easy one. Miami, given a 6.5, I think that's pretty solid. Carolina Panthers, they're making a trip to Seattle. Here's another one. 6.5. Seattle favored by 6.5. Jimbo, who you got? Why?
I'm gonna go Seattle. Carolina team is just not good. I find it funny that they can't do the tush push because Bryce Young is too small for it.
He's too tiny. Well, listen, but here's the other thing too. You were trying to make a comparison to the fact of Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has the lower body of a moose.
No,
the guy squats 600 pounds. You see the ass on that man? Like, let's be honest. Like, not in a sexual way, but seriously.
I don't look at other guys' asses.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you're playing football, you have to, because that's where a lot of the power and muscle comes from, in the hip and the legs. And that man squats 600 pounds. There's a reason why the tush push works with him, because he has a tush, to push. Bryce Young, you go to push his tush, you're going to be hitting his upper back because he's so damn short. So I get that reasoning. So trying to compare that to everything doesn't quite work. But Carolina, listen, Carolina is in deep in a just starting rebuild. They have so many holes and so many problems. We all know that. Bryce Young is going to be the keystone to build around that franchise. But for now, there's not a lot there. I think this is as clear as Seattle as you can get. I'm taking Seattle. 6.5. Seattle's giving 6.5. We both got Seattle. Tied for the largest point spread of the week. And it's actually not the Giants. I thought the Giants-Niners were the biggest one. It is not. But it is tied for the biggest one. Making a trip to Kansas City, and Travis Kelce trying to prevent him from moving swiftly. As I try to now be like every other announcer here in America, trying to make a Taylor Swift reference whenever mentioning the Chiefs or Travis Kelce. The Kansas City Chiefs, 12.5-point favorites against the Chicago Bears. And if you listen to the podcast, which you should be listening to our podcast before you watch the extra. It's been a week at Alice. There's been things that are going on. Yeah. Jimbo, Chicago Bears at Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs favored by 12.5. Who you got and why?
Well, first I want to talk to our millions and millions of fans out there. I can guarantee, and you could take this to the bank, that I will never make a Taylor Swift pun or recite the songs, because you could ask King, you probably could hear on the podcast a couple times. I do not like Taylor Swift. So that being said, well, I know you. Yeah.
Well, I like her as an artist too. There's other reasons I like her, clearly. But that aside,
obviously, come on, the Chiefs. But how funny would it be if the Chiefs lose?
If that happened, now that you said that, now you're gonna have to put up a show. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if the Chiefs lose? Now, it's a huge spread.
If the Bears win, not cover the spread, just win. Well, if they win, they cover the spread. I won't sing. I will let you pick a Taylor Swift song, and I will recite it word for word. I'll have to have the paper in front of me so I can read it. But
you're gonna do a spoken word version
Yes.
of a Taylor Swift song.
Yes, that's how much
That's a
confidence.
deal. That's a deal. If that happens on the next Stay Tuned Sports Extra that we do, you're gonna have to look straight into the camera, and you're gonna have to do it. I'm gonna get the fiance to pick the song. I'm gonna get her to pick the song for you to do.
Now watch these son of a bitches win by a point.
Oh, now I'm going to be rooting like hell for the Bears right now. I'm going to be rooting like hell for the Bears. But no, even clearly with the 12.5 point spread, huge spread, giant spread, I think you have to go with the Chiefs on this one. Usually I go against such a big point. And usually if it's such a big point spread, if you're putting real money down on this, stay away from it. Usually that's the best thing to do. If there's either a really big spread or a really small spread, stay away.
Yeah.
So if you're betting real money, I'd say maybe skip this game. But just as we're picking it against the spread, I think the Chiefs win, and I think the 12.5 is too low. Tell you the truth, I really do. Next game, also a 12.5 point spread. That's what I said. It was tied for the highest spread of the season. This is the Dallas Cowboys making a trip out to the desert to play the Arizona Cardinals, who have played better than I think anybody expected them to. But now you're going against what is arguably one of the best teams in the NFL. They're number 2 in my power rankings. I know they're number 1 in a lot of other people's. Mike Florio, you suck. Jimbo, Dallas Cowboys, 12.5 point favorites at the Arizona Cardinals. Who you got and why?
I'm still waiting for that other shoe to drop for Dallas. They always show us. They always show they're really, really good, and then the wheels just fall off. I'm not sure this will be the game that it will fall off.
It ain't the game that's going to happen.
But I am taking Arizona. I think they're going to cover the spread. 12.5, that's a lot of points. Like you said, they played a lot better than what people thought. And maybe the Cowboys have a little bit of a setback. So I'm going Arizona.
That's a bold stance to take.
Yeah.
Dallas showed me a lot with that Jets game. And what they showed me was that they're doing what I told them to do to win. And whenever somebody does what you tell them to do and is successful, you kind of have to have a little bit of respect for it.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And they beat the Jets by 20. They beat the Jets with that defense by 20 points. The Cardinals do not have the Jets defense.
No.
The Cardinals don't even have the Jets offense. They might have arguably a better quarterback.
I was going to say, so you're saying the quarterback is even better?
Might be a better quarterback than Zach Wilson. But the rest of the offensive weapons, I mean, clearly the Jets are better. And Dallas was never really in doubt in that game. This game is never going to be really in doubt. Again, I'm saying this a lot, and now watch Arizona keeps it close or something. Or wins. I doubt that's going to happen. But Dallas has been known to do dumber shit. That being said, I will take Dallas, and I will give the 12.5. I will take Dallas. So I'm actually taking the favorite in 2 of the largest spreads of the week, which is something I don't normally do at all.
Yeah.
But I think who the teams are and who they're playing have a lot to do with that. And I don't think I have anything more to add about either one of those games. So, with that said, moving on. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Las Vegas Raiders. Jimbo, in this game, Raiders are favored by 2.5 out there at the big Death Star there in Vegas, or Paradise, sorry. Steelers, Raiders, 2.5. Who you got and why?
I lost all faith in Pittsburgh until that offense shows some sign of life.
So you mean until they fire Matt Canada?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I kind of agree with you that the Raiders are a little bit better than what maybe the record shows. And so I'm going with the Raiders minus 2.5. I just think Pittsburgh's offense is just too shitty to try to keep up with their defense. Their defense will keep them in games, but I just don't think that offense will win it for them.
How is your sister with the whole Matt Canada thing? Have you talked to her about it? I know she's
well after week 1, I think they lost in week 1. She was already calling for it. We're not going to be any good till our offense coordinator is gone. And now that you brought it up, I haven't talked to her in 2 weeks, so I hope she's okay.
Yeah, there you go. Nice little icebreaker. Just be like, hey, what do you think about? How do you think the job Matt Canada's doing? And then just prepare for the inundation. I was thinking about this one a lot in both the King Cup picks that we do with the family and everything like that, and then thinking about it here with the spread. I want to pick the Raiders because I want to believe in them. I want to believe in Garoppolo. I want to believe in that team, but it still seems there might be just a lot there. And Josh McDaniels is just someone I don't trust and I don't believe in. And Pittsburgh, for as bad as the offense is, and as I said before the season even started, I said Pittsburgh has a defense that will win them some games. Whether or not they're good anywhere else, they have a defense that will win them some games. And they had a defense that won them a game last Monday night against Cleveland. And I think they have a defense that will win them a game here. So I will take the Pittsburgh Steelers getting the 2.5 at Vegas. And so there's another one we disagree with on. And then we have Monday Night Football, where you have the Philadelphia Eagles. That old team in green that you got on right there, the old Kelsey jersey, whose brother's banging Taylor Swift. Which, by the way, just real quick aside, if he is, how about just listen? I'm not somebody who can judge or gauge how attractive or unattractive men are, but the fact that Travis and Jason would both have rather attractive blonde significant others, that's not bad.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's a little. You're batting above league level, is what I'm saying. You're doing pretty well. So that being said, Eagles make the trip down to Tampa Bay to face Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, the surprising 2-0 Buccaneers. Even though a lot of people are iffy about their opponents, as it were. What's the spread on that? That's 4.5 in favor of the Eagles. The Eagles giving 4.5 points favored down there in Tampa Bay. Jimbo, who you got and why?
I think this game is actually, I think, going to be like a really good game for any football fan to watch, not just an Eagles fan or not just Tampa Bay. I think just to watch is going to be a good game. As long as we run the ball. I don't care if it's DeAndre Swift or Penny or Gainwell, because I think we could get Gainwell back this week. Got to run the ball. Don't force Jalen Hurts to run the ball. Let him run it when it feels right. If they do that, I think they cover it. So I'm going to go Philly, hoping that they do everything I just said. But I think it's going to be like a 4-point game. I think that hook is going to help me cover the spread. So I'm going Philly, favored by 4.5.
So you think they're going to win by 5?
Yes.
So I say if they win by 4, you lose.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's the other way around. Because I was thinking that, like, either how would it go with the 4 or the 5? But yeah, either way, I think it's going to be that close.
You think they'll win by more than 4.5?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been a long day.
You say that every week.
All right, I'll come up with a new excuse next week.
Yeah, no, you got to work on it. I love what Baker's been doing down there in Tampa. I love what Tampa does. I know they're playing maybe not the best teams in the first 2 weeks, But the fact that they went to Minnesota and beat them in their house, no matter what you think about Minnesota right now. And by the way, I don't know if you've seen the stats from Kirk Cousins, but for being 0-2, he's one of the, I think he is the highest rated passer.
Yeah.
And has the best passing stats of any quarterback in the NFL through 2 weeks, and he's 0-2. So it's not Kirk Cousins' fault that the Vikings are losing. And so Baker to have done that in week 1, and then yes, they beat the Bears in week 2 down in Tampa, and have that be as it may. I think the Bucs keep this closer than anybody wants it to be, especially people from Philadelphia. I think the Buccaneers and Baker are going to be able to put some yardage on. I think they're going to be able to put some points up on this Philadelphia team. And again, Philadelphia hasn't shown that oomph, that Super Bowl of like last year. Philadelphia, from the jump, everybody was like, watch out. Yeah. This team is one to watch from week 1. Kind of like how people are with Dallas this year is how people were with Philly last year. It was like, watch out, Philly is this team. This year, they're 2-0, but it's not the same 2-0 as it was last year. It feels off.
Yeah.
Something feels like it's not right in Philly yet. And until they get that, maybe this is the game they get it right and they blow out the Buccaneers. I don't think so, though. And I think even if Philadelphia wins, I think it's close enough. I think it's by a field goal, maybe even a last-second field goal that Philadelphia wins. So I'm going to pick the Buccaneers getting the 4 at a hook from the Eagles. So that is going to be my pick. I'm going to pick the Buccaneers there on Monday night. And then that's it. Week 3 picks down in the books.
We got the Rams and the Bengals. At least on my phone.
Wait a minute. Are they doing two fucking games?
Yeah. They're doing 2 Monday night games.
They're doing 2 games again?
I think the rest of the year now, or pretty much majority of the season. Yeah. Last week they did it with...
I know last week, but I was like... Because normally what they would do is for like the first week of Monday Night Football, they used to do the doubleheader.
Yeah.
And then they would do that. They'd have like one game that was like really kind of early, almost like a 7 o'clock game, and then the other one was almost like a 9 o'clock game. So the other game was able to be mostly over by the time the other game started. Last week, when they started that game at 7:15, and then the other game starts at like 8:15.
Yeah.
And now you have 2 games going on simultaneously, and it's like, okay, well, I gotta pick one. Like, it's not like this isn't like Red Zone. This isn't like Sunday Ticket where you have all this stuff. It's like I would do which one. Like that was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
When I looked at, I guess I haven't looked at the schedule close enough. Jimbo. Los Angeles Rams make a trip out to Cincinnati. Play Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Rams are 1-1. Bengals are 0-2. Bengals favored by 3 at home. Don't know why. Jimbo, who you got and why?
I'm gonna go with the Rams. Joe Burrow is still hurting a little bit with that calf issue. I saw today that he wasn't practicing again, but he should be good to go for Sunday. But as we've seen in the past with any type of calf injury, it just takes one little hit on it and it can flare right up. And the Bengals haven't, just like the Eagles, shown that potent offense. So I think they're still going to be kind of lollygagging in a way with their offense. So going with the Rams.
The Rams went into Seattle and absolutely mollywopped the Seattle Seahawks. Then they went home to SoFi to play the Niners in what was ostensibly a road game and played the 49ers a hell of a lot better, tougher, and closer than I think anybody was willing to say, especially for the Rams, who were thought to be kind of an afterthought this year. They weren't thought to be any good this year.
Yeah.
And they seem to be doing well. They just traded Cam Akers to Minnesota. So again, not sure exactly what's going on there in LA Rams land, but Cincinnati has to get it together.
Yeah.
And they have to do it now. You can't go down 0-3. But I gotta say, I gotta go with the Rams here. I gotta say that they're probably gonna be 0-3, and I think the Rams can go there into Paycor Stadium and get the win. Especially they're getting 3. They're how I don't know how you can have Cincinnati favored by 3 at this point with the way they've played and with the way the Rams have played. I don't get it. I don't understand. Thank you, police, for ruining my shot here with your sirens. The criminal can wait. Let him run it, but give him a head start. I'm recording here. What are you gonna do? Yeah, but I think I don't see how you, at this point, can pick the Bengals. At this point, if you're picking the Bengals, you're picking them on blind faith. You're picking them on, well, at some point they got to be better. Maybe they don't. Maybe at some point they're just not going to get better.
Basically, Jimbo thinking.
And the way I got to go with it here is the Rams have showed me a lot in the first 2 weeks. The Bengals have shown me not a lot in the first 2 weeks. I'm going to go with the Rams getting the 3 points there at Paycor. And now
we're done.
That is all the picks for week 3 here on Stay Tuned Sports Extra. You can go ahead. Hey, listen, if you haven't listened to our podcast yet, go over to Spotify. I think we're on Apple Podcasts too, correct?
Yes, we're on all the major ones.
We're on all the podcast places that you want to go to. Just go there, search Stay Tuned Sports. We're going to pop right up there for you. Listen to our latest episode. It's a doozy. Oh, boy, is it a doozy. Lots of stuff going out there in Chicago. It's a fun one of the best ones we've had. Go ahead and listen to that. And if you want to help the show out at all, help support us, me, Jimbo, get new equipment, get new stuff, make the show look nice and shinier, better quality, all those kind of things, go to buymeacoffee.com/staytunesports. That's buymeacoffee.com/staytunesports. Throw us a couple bucks and, just help support the boys here. Help support us, help us, help you, and everything will be great like that as well. Also, we have a Discord. We will make sure to put the link in the description down here on the YouTubes as you're go ahead and listen. So we'll have the link down there. We'll have the link to the Buy Me a Coffee too as well down in the description. All the links and all the stuff will be down there. So it looks like I'm pointing to my junk. I'm not. I'm pointing down to the description where you can just go ahead and check that out there on YouTube.
Also,
Jimbo,
like and subscribe to our channel so that way you get the notification when we have a new video, whether it's the podcast episode or these picks.
I knew you were going to jump in there and get that. I was going to say, Jimbo, you got anything else to add? There you go. That's a perfect example. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you always know when we're putting stuff up. We're trying to do more content. We're trying to do more different stuff and be more, get more content out there. That's why we're doing this stuff here on YouTube. We're trying new stuff out over on our Discord, which you can go ahead and check out by clicking the link below. And might even have a watch along this weekend if we can figure out the technology, which is a big if. So again, we're testing stuff out here still, trying to work stuff out. You can always help us though by doing that. Jimbo, is there anything else I think we have to go over this week?
Please, Bears, don't win. I don't want to. I don't want to recite a Taylor Swift song.
Shake it off. Yeah. Oh, dude, there's some great ones too. Shake It Off is the one everybody goes to because it's some biggest hit.
Yeah.
But there's some great ones. There's some really good ones I think you're gonna like. So we'll make sure me and the fiance will go ahead. We'll review some of them. We'll work out a working list, and then we'll just see how the game goes. As the game goes on, we might have to we'll start whittling down the list a little bit more, depending on how it looks. But we'll see what happens there. But for your good friend Jimbo, I am King. This has been Stay Tuned Sports Extra. Goodbye. Like the shave I did You like that? I had the big Egyptian pharaoh thing,
Yeah.
and then I just realized this looks like I'm jerking off my chin. But I'm just saying, I got rid of that. You know.
Well,
Uh,
last week Alicia was like, King has to do something with that goatee if you guys are gonna do video. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, it's just like all white. I'm like, we're old. It's gray. She's like,
oh man, what
oh.
do you want?
She's like, I just thought it was like just the way he was looking at the light and stuff like that. I'm like, no, we're
No,
old.
that's great. That's called gray.